All right, so welcome to our stock market update live from Clearwater Beach in Florida. Today is, what is today? October 12th.
12th.
And it is the day before earnings season. So today we want to talk about earnings season, earnings. How do they impact the markets? And should we be concerned about earnings, especially going into the fourth quarter here? Because companies will be reporting earnings for the last quarter and what that means to you. So let's just get started.
Yeah, so tomorrow is the official kickoff of earnings season with big banks reporting and some other big players. Now, earnings season is the time each quarter when publicly traded companies have an opportunity to report their quarterly or annual earnings. And this is when you could see a lot of volatility in the market because there is some uncertainty with what's going on and positive earnings being reported, negative earnings being reported, earnings in line with expectations, outside of expectations. And that's when stocks can go crazy and the markets can really move.
Right. And so I just brought it up here. I think we found it on Fool.com, just the earnings calendar.
Motleyfool.com. No. Well, no, Fool.com. But just when you say Fool.com, that doesn't sound right to me. It sounds like you're making fun of someone.
I think it is on Fool.com.
I think it is, but it's the Motley Fool. Come on. Now.
Anyhow, so you see that the third quarter that ends September 30th, this is where we are right now. So October 15th, I agree with you. I would say it starts off officially tomorrow, which is October 13th, with the big banks reporting. And in a moment, we'll show you where you can find all of that information so that you know exactly who is reporting this week, who is reporting today. Because when trading, it is important that you're aware of this. As I said, it can lead to increased volatility. And it's not about the earnings, really, of what happened last quarter. But what's really moving the markets is the guidance that the company is issuing for the upcoming quarter and the next quarters, usually the next year.
Absolutely, because investors, stock traders, they're buying a stock not because they liked it in the past. They're buying it because they believe it's going to increase in the future. And that's where guidance can give some perspective on what companies are expecting and what traders are expecting for the future.
Right, and especially this quarter, it is a big deal because, as we know, there's a few things that have investors and traders worried. It is inflation, and it's also the supply chain issues, and this can really impact the upcoming guidance for companies. And so I just want to bring this up here because, yeah, the market is about to see the strongest earnings season of the year. So CNBC, let me just zoom in here a little bit. So they have this graphic where you see the S&P average change by earnings since this is supposed to see 2000. And we see that in Q3, usually the S&P is going up 2.5%. And this is not for the whole quarter. It is for what we said earlier. It is exactly for mid-October until late November. So for this earnings season that is happening here.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to point out that although earnings season is typically 6 weeks, and those are general dates, July 15th to October 15th to November 30th. But I would say that the meat of earnings season is the last 2 weeks of October, first week of November, and you'll see that that's when most of the companies are reporting.
Right. So let's talk about the two earnings calendars that we like to use. So the first is Earnings Whisper. So it's earningwhispers.com, where you basically see for each day not only how many companies are reporting, also before the open, after the close, and you have the companies that are reporting here. So this is one of the calendars. I must say, personally, my favorite is stockearnings.com.
I agree. And one thing that is interesting with earnings that many traders don't realize is that when earnings are reported through different websites, through different brokers, typically it's an estimated earnings date. And so what you'll have is an earnings date that is calculated based on the last earnings date, but it's not always confirmed. And one thing I like about this website is you could go and you could check the company that you're trading, and it will let you know if that earnings date is actually confirmed, which is important because sometimes it could be off a couple of days just based on the estimate.
Right. So let me show you how we use it. So first of all, if you just go to stockearnings.com, their main website, you will see that there's upcoming notable earnings. And this is where we see, yes, we have Goldman Sachs, we have BlackRock, we have JP Morgan, we have Wells Fargo, we have Bank of America. We have all of these companies reporting, and of course we can click on load more to see what is happening over the next few days. And what I like about it, that here we really just see the major companies, because obviously we have like 11,000, 12,000 ticker symbols in the US markets here. So I'm not caring about every single company, but here are the major companies that are reporting. They're listed here. So this is one way how you can use it. The other way is if you, for example, want to know when a company is reporting earnings. Who do we want to know? Like,
Let's look at JP Morgan, JPM.
okay, well, we already know that they're reporting tomorrow. Let's do something where we say, okay, what about Coca-Cola? Let's say, for example, when is Coca-Cola reporting? So we just type it in here, and this is when we get the information of when exactly they are reporting. And see, it is Wednesday, October 27th, in 15 days before the market open. And here is the important thing that you want to look for. It's the confirmed. Because as you said, I mean, brokers are in charting software packages. They're usually including some estimated data, but we want to look for the confirmed data.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about how do we trade it, and what do we recommend how you should be trading it. I mean, we're trading two different strategies. We're trading the PowerX strategy, and we're trading the wheel strategy. So let's talk about the PowerX strategy first. If you are in a trade and you know that earnings reports are coming up, what should you do?
So this is where Marcus and I actually have a slightly different take on this. And for me, based on my experience, I would rather avoid that volatility. Now, I don't mind being in a trade before earnings, but what I would look to do is close a trade the day before earnings, just to lock in some profit and not be exposed to potential gap up or gap down. So I like to play things a little more conservatively. Now, you on the other hand.
Yeah. On the other hand, I really look at the chart, and let me just show you an example. I mean, this is not a stock that I would trade, but it came up today on the scanner. So here the stock is Billy. Again, for me, not a stock to trade, but I just want to show you an example. We see all of the earnings dates here. And I want to see, did this stock react to earnings in the past? And if we zoom in, then we see that here on this earnings day, not a really major reaction. On this earnings day, I moved a little bit up, but it didn't really gap. On this earnings day, so not a whole lot. So if I were in this stock, I would not be concerned about earnings, because of course we know that the past is not
Indicative of future results.
That is the word, of future results. But if you look at another stock, for example, Intel, INTC, and we look at how Intel reacted to the most recent earnings, then we see that pretty much every single time Intel had earnings, right here, huge gap, right here, huge gap, right here, huge gap, right here, huge gap. You see just recently, smaller gap, but we see clearly that Intel is reacting to earnings every single time. So this is where I would be more concerned and get out of the trade. However, if I see that over the last 8 quarters, the stock hasn't really reacted, of course they could, but it seems that they are not disappointing or surprising investors at all.
Yeah, so slightly different take there. Whether you're trading earnings or not, I think the key is, especially with short-term trends, which is what we're after with the PowerX Optimizer, have a plan and stick to it. I believe that in the long run, as long as you're consistent, you're going to be just fine. Yeah. Now, with the wheel strategy, we have a different take.
Different story. So with the wheel strategy, I mean, we both absolutely agree. We are not taking any trades where the earnings are before the expiration of the option. So for example, this week, we wouldn't trade any bank stocks, right? Because earnings are coming out this week before the expiration on Friday. So this is where it's super important to just check when are earnings, and PowerX Optimizer has it pretty much built in. Let me just see if I can bring it up here really quick. So where we see where the next earnings are. So here we are looking, for example, at Macy's, and you see when we bring up Macy's, we see here we have 36 days until earnings. So this gives us an idea. But what we also do in our scanner, we automatically filter those out, especially the confirmed ones that have earnings coming up over the next few days. So typically you will not see them popping up. Every now and then, there might one slip through because they have not confirmed earnings, or they changed it last minute. But I want to say 95% of the time, you will not see any options on the wheel popping up that are expiring before the next expiration.
And the real concern here with the wheel and trading earnings is that you have limited reward, right? And so when you sell a put, let's say you collect 50 cents, $50, and that is the most you can make on that trade. Now, I'm happy to do this because it's usually a high probability strategy where consistently you could collect that premium. But if there is an earnings surprise and if the stock gaps down, more than I expect, then it could be that I'm getting a sign and there's a bigger drop. And that's what I'd rather avoid. I'd rather trade more predictable market environments in stocks where, there's more orderly trading. And so that's why I would avoid trading the wheel if the expiration is coming up after that earnings announcement, just so you don't get caught up there.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the markets this morning and see what is happening. Here's the E-mini S&P futures. And pretty much overnight, we had this dip diddling around. And then earlier this morning, around 3 a.m., we started the move higher. And this is where we stand right now. So it seems that the S&P 500 is opening slightly higher, but pretty much around the unchanged mark at 0.15. The NASDAQ, looking at this, very similar picture here, up a little bit more, 0.3%. And the Dow also, all three of them are moving here together, and right now the Dow is up 0.1%. So this is what we are seeing right now. It seems that we have a very muted open this morning, and we'll see where it takes the markets today. Yesterday, interesting day yesterday. So yesterday, if you're looking at the S&P 500, at first we were moving higher, then going sideways, and then pretty much closing lower on absolutely no news. Also keep in mind that yesterday was Columbus Day, so the bond market was closed. I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but yesterday was kind of a weird day. Let's see what the indices are doing right after the open.
That's the plan.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Mark, we talked about it that tomorrow banks are reporting, so that's obviously pretty important, but there's also another super important event tomorrow. Do you know what that is?
You tell me.
I'm surprising you. Okay. It is William Shatner.
That's
goes
right.
into space. He goes into space tomorrow. There he is, 90 years old, and going up in space on Bezos' Blue Origin rocket.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I'm a little bit concerned about him. He's 90 years old. I don't know if he's a picture of health. Obviously he has been tested, but do you think that he realizes that the USS Enterprise actually did not go into space when he was flying it? I don't know. Just saying. Anyhow, it was scheduled for today because of strong winds. They had to postpone it, so it will be tomorrow. Hey, we'll keep an eye on this. Will it move the markets? Of course not, but it's just something else to watch out for.
Yeah, that's cool.
If you enjoyed today's market update, give us a like. We have a few videos popping up that show you exactly how we trade. Watch some of the previous stock market updates. Recently, we're doing them more topical, as you can see. So I think it's some pretty cool stuff. Anyhow, we got trading live here with our mastermind members. Super excited about this. I guess we'll see you tomorrow.
Happy trading, everybody.